So welcome everybody to our Monday Mugs. We have many folks still logging in. I hear click. Don't know if Jason is on here yet. Jason Barta. If you are, just identify yourself and I will send you over some controls. And while everyone's logging in, if you have not liked our BNI Atlanta Facebook page, and since this is our topic, one of the topics around social media, could you go help us out and like our page? And then your chapter has a page, and our core groups that are over 10 have a page. So if you don't know what they are, we will make sure that you, it's generally BNI and then the name of the group. So you can go and like those and post something on there about today's webinar. That would be great. I know Elizabeth and Mark have already done that. And I just posted mine, so. I think there is Jason. Jason, are you the Jason Barta that we're looking for this morning?
I think I am, yeah. How are y'all doing?
Good. You know, from Star Wars, these are not the droids you're looking for. You are the Jason.
All right.
Good morning.
Yeah, that's right.
So everybody, I'm going to go ahead and, I already have the click recording. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick review of what we went over last week. And then Jason, if you want to spill some goodness on social media and some tips and pointers that you feel are important. And did you want me to share screen privileges with you, or did you just
yeah, I don't think it's necessary. Yeah,
okay, all right, sounds good. All right, well, we will go through. So just to prep, Morning Mug started because our region is so spread out. Having advanced training for our members, sometimes it would just be honestly very spotty attendance. There may be 2, there may be 4, and several members said, can't you do some web stuff? And we said, yes, we have a computer, we can. So we're basically taking an advanced training topic that generally surrounds the same topic of the monthly roundtable. If you're not familiar what the roundtable is, that is where every chapter sends a representative, preferably their president, along with a support person. And we share ideas around that topic. So there is a theme and a method to our madness. So Monday Mugs for 2019 January is leveraging social media to strengthen referral relationships. And your chapter has a marketing team. You may not have all the spots filled, but let's work to get those filled. And on that team, it consists of 3 people or 3 sub-teams. So the marketing team is the growth coordinator, the event coordinator, and the communications coordinator. And so, like I said, if your chapter doesn't have one of those, I think it would be highly beneficial for you all to discover, or discover who would step into those roles. So let's move through really quickly and talk about the hierarchy of that. There's the marketing team right there, and the growth coordinator, event coordinator, and communications coordinator. And for those that are looking to get involved, check with your chapter president or your director consultant, and they can direct you accordingly. So the team is going to help visibility for the chapter and the members, obviously, not just face-to-face, but of course online. And creating that visibility is going to increase the number of members, which increases the number of referrals and, of course, more money, and that's why we're all here. And so when we talk about the communications coordinator, like we talked about last week, is just creating awareness about the chapter through the community and providing more presence on social media. Like I said, there's several ways that chapters can do that, but educating the chapter is the first step on, hey, we do have the social media presence. It's not just Facebook. We actually have and we're sharing this at the roundtables this month. So the roundtables are open to any member. So if you want to be more involved, it's a really good networking opportunity as well. So we have 4 a month, generally after every member success program. So we won't go through the checklist of responsibilities, but if you want to know where that is, it's in the leadership team manual. the contact spheres that we mainly talk about, and there's if you all are in BNI University, which most of you are, or I'd say hopefully all of you are, you can do a search under the training tab, and there's a really, really good, I just sent it out to all of our team actually. It's a 30-minute presentation by our National Director, Tim Roberts, and it's called Growth is Not the Goal. So if you go into BNI University, and I'm happy to share that with everyone or assign it to you in university, but it talks about if our contact spheres are not well balanced, we're doing a disservice to the members of that contact sphere. We're not giving equal opportunity to all members. And that sounds like, whoa, that's pretty heavy, Kathy. But that's true. If you have someone that is, you've got your real estate sphere, your B2B sphere, your financial, health and wellness, and events and marketing. And if they're not well balanced, well, let's help those members build their team, because 2/3 of that referral business is going to come from someone in that sphere. So I would highly recommend that. I'm going to be posting some other information around that, but it really is eye-opening, because if there's only 1 or 2 people in the health and wellness sphere, and, if the chapter is 25 or 30, well, that's not a good representation, is it? So we really want to focus on those spheres. And, going through social media is a really good way to help the layering of that. So, Jason, I'll kind of turn it over to you. If you want to, I know you've been a member for a bunch of years in the Gwinnett area. I know from, I think, and I'm going to botch this somehow, but you were recognized in the last year at the Gwinnett Chamber for something spectacular, I believe.
Well,
so I'll let you tell them a little bit more about you and how you're involved with your chapter.
All right. Well, thanks. Good morning, everybody. As Kathy was saying, I have been part of the BNI for it's been over 11 years, actually. Mm-hmm. So when I started, I've been in the business, in the industry of marketing and internet marketing for about 15 years. And when we started our company, Barta Media Group, that one of the first decisions we made was to join BNI. So we actually, that was one of the things I did as one of my first orders of business. And I'll tell you what, it's been extremely rewarding. We still are receiving referrals and business from literally from clients that I've met 11 years ago when I started into the group, members who are no longer part of our chapter or any chapter for that matter. We're still seeing residual coming in from referrals from them and business from them. And it's been awesome. And yeah, I was recognized this past week in BNI in our group for having the most business passed for the year, and so that was good. And it's interesting to see. I've noticed how much correlation there is to giving business as to getting business in BNI, and I've noticed it over the years. It's uncanny how when I have a great year of being able to refer people, how much comes back, and it's been really great. So that's something to keep in mind for everybody, and it really does work. So, I was making my coffee this morning, and I have a kind of a routine I'm pretty consistent with. In the mornings when I get up, I'm really serious about my coffee, by the way. I get good beans. I don't get the cheap stuff. There's no Keurig or anything like that. I grind my beans. I pour over the hot water. I make a pour over, have a small breakfast, and relax. That's how I try to get my day started. I'm ready for my second cup in about 15, 20 minutes. But you know what I do during that time is probably what a lot of people are doing, and I can guarantee you it's a whole lot of people, is for those who take a few minutes to actually kind of wake up and literally smell the coffee in the mornings. I'm checking my Facebook page, looking at my Facebook. I'm looking at I may look at the Instagram and just kind of see what's going on. It's become my news feed. I really have kind of fine-tuned the people I follow and the companies that I follow, and the ads that I get have been fine-tuned and all this sort of stuff. And really that's become kind of the way I start the morning pretty much every day, or as part of that routine, is checking what's going on in the world and what's going on in my world. I've kind of narrowed that down to a fairly fine-tuned news feed. And I say that because so many people are out there doing that very same thing. Many of you have done that. Many of you have already checked your social channels that you follow, and maybe if you're one who regularly posts, you're checking to see if you've got any action on that and all sorts of stuff. And so I don't think at this point in time, anybody who's on this call would second guess at all the importance or the vital role that social media plays in our society today, in life today, in our businesses today. It goes without saying. And so one of the things I want to say as one of the important things that I think everybody needs to realize about social media as it pertains to your business is that social media is your reputation on the internet. Most people, again, many people, I should say, who are involved, and the demographics are different for each different place or different channel. You have different demographics on Facebook than you do on Instagram and on Snapchat, and your LinkedIn is a different thing. All of these can be very important assets to you, but the one thing I will tell you that's consistent across every one of those channels, no matter what your demographic is that your reputation, your brand, your message is going out to a whole lot of people. It has the opportunity to go out to a whole lot of people. And so you need to be consistent with it. You need to have your reputation built that way. Putting out your brand on a consistent level, on a consistent basis is very, very important. And I say brand because branding can be such a wide variety of things. But branding is a whole lot more than your logo. And it's a whole lot more than using, a specific business card or tagline. Branding is your everything. It's everything that represents who you are as a company, as a business owner. Your brand is being seen, and you have the opportunity to show your brand to a countless number of people. So the first thing I wanted to tell you about social media is remember, this is your reputation. And we've seen what has happened to people's reputation when they go carelessly to social media. You've seen athletes and we'll just go ahead and say politicians and a lot of different people, and what kind of a message that they're sending through their social media, and it's the power of it. So be careful about it, but also take it seriously in the sense that it's an opportunity to get your brand known. And the second thing that kind of goes hand in hand with that, as I sort of mentioned already, is that you want to be regular with your posts, regularly visiting, regularly in front of people. Don't just post something and try to come back 6 months later and post another picture. Don't forget about your potential followers. And again, this is your brand. If you were any brick and mortar business, and some of you have your brick and mortar businesses out there, and some of you may not. But if you do, you know that you got to have the open sign open. You know that you need to have your lights on the building working. You know you need to be available consistently. With social media, the only way we can do that is to be regular and consistent with our posts and with our communication to our clients. And with that said, similarly, you want to be responsive to your followers. Social media is so cool because it's kind of a giant messaging board for people to have an opportunity to communicate back and forth with you. And I've seen happen many times where, and I've even done this before, where I've left a message for somebody or given a response to a company on Facebook, and nobody's monitoring that page. Nobody's really paying attention. And so it was like I went to a restaurant, sat down at the table, and I never had a waiter come see me. So be responsive and pay attention to it. Make it part of your daily routine, or maybe even a couple times a day. I'm not saying waste your time on social media a couple times a day, like it so easily can be done. But I am saying be responsive to your followers. Make sure you have your notifications set up on your phone, so that especially if somebody messages you or leaves a comment for you, you want to respond. That Facebook in particular has set it up now so that it's They actually will track the time that it takes for you to respond, and that can be seen by your users as well. So if you're not being responsive and you're kind of blowing people off, that actually is going to show, and that's of course not a good thing. So think about that. Again, think about the way your social page is being viewed, that your brand is being viewed, and think about other situations. Like I said, I used the example of going to a restaurant. If you have poor service, nobody's coming to take care of your needs. Nobody wants to answer your questions. Nobody wants to, take your order, etc. You're going to be frustrated, and you're going to have a poor response. And then you're probably going to go, maybe you're one of those Yelpers who wants to go and leave a bad review. Well, we don't want that to happen for sure. So be responsive to your people, your followers, your users, and potential users as well. So let's see where we are. Fourthly, be relational and be real. This should be probably a no-brainer, but I think what I've seen with a lot of people who are doing social media is that they're trying to portray something that they're not. They don't really represent, and so then maybe they're sharing posts or they're putting things on there that are just not really relating to their followers. Remember, if you have a particular business or a particular channel of people that you're trying to reach out to, or a demographic, be relational and real to those people. Figure out who they are and be real as it relates to them. Which is really another way of putting that is to be relative. Being relative. Don't listen. I mean, especially for small business owners, I've seen one of the things I've seen that is just kind of a turnoff, and it's going to cause people to not want to follow you anymore, is when you're putting posts out there that are uber personal, especially like personal opinions about certain things, certain political or religious interests, or things that you are passionate about maybe personally, but you're not taking into consideration the people that are following you. And listen, I'm all about talking about what you believe in. I'm all about that, but use your personal page for that. Remember, your business page is out there to be relative to people, to take into consideration of people who are following you. And we're trying to build that channel. We're trying to make that grow. We're not trying to shrink it down. We want it to grow. We want to have the biggest voice and audience possible that as it relates to what we're doing in business. Like I said, if you're passionate about this stuff and you just love sharing political posts and religious posts or whatever it may be, feel free to do that on your personal page. And of course, you'll see that list whittle down as well, probably pretty quick. So third, let me give you a couple real practical things as it pertains to marketing and as it pertains to your social media. This is something that everybody should be doing on a regular basis. So keep this in mind. Redirect your posts, your visitors, your comments to your website or other marketing channels that you're using. The way we have always kind of viewed marketing as far as the internet goes is you have a central hub for your marketing. In most people's case, it's going to be your website. That's where you can pack in tons and tons and tons of information if you want to. You can lay it out the way you want to and customize it. You're not forced into like a Facebook or an Instagram form, so you can kind of be yourself. So we've always kind of considered website as kind of a central point for your marketing. But some people do use Facebook or social media for that central point, and especially those who are very Instagram-based businesses or Facebook-based businesses. But use the opportunities you have to redirect people to your other marketing channels. Make sure you're sending people to your website. Tell them, we've got more information about this particular idea or topic or post, and point them back to your website. Use the link. Copy the link from your URL. Put it in there. Put in your hashtags for or your follow for Instagram. You may even want to point people to your LinkedIn page and start building your followers that way. Utilize the opportunities you have to point people in multiple different directions. You want to build. You really want to build a matrix of connections to all of your different marketing channels. So your website, make sure you're gathering email addresses, even though that's kind of it's not quite as popular anymore because of social media, but we want to get as much information about people. And so we want to kind of tie everything together with our marketing, pointing people back and forth, redirecting them to your website, and from your website to your Facebook page, and from your Facebook page to your Instagram to your LinkedIn. Utilize all that, tie it all together. What you'll find is that you're going to start capturing a larger audience, and you're going to be able to fill people in more and in multiple ways. How many connections does it take? If you ask any marketing people, you ask how many different impressions does it take to actually convert business, and it varies from industry to industry. Some industries it can take a few or a couple, but in most cases it takes several different impressions and connections before you're actually going to start seeing a conversion or seeing a prospect become a client. So utilize multiple different ways of redirecting your people and to multiple different channels. And then another real practical thing that you can do, and it's sort of similar to that one, is to repurpose your content. So you don't have to always have something brand new and fresh. As great as that would be, most of you who are doing your own social media, most people don't have time to sit there and dig through tons and tons of different articles or create your own graphics or spend the time it takes to go through and analyze your list and who your followers are and that sort of stuff. So what we can do, and what's a very practical thing to do, is to take content that's been used previously and change it up a little bit. I don't recommend carbon copy and send the exact same thing out again, or just resharing the same thing over again. I recommend changing it up even a little bit. But it's the difference between, if you've ever watched, for those of you who watch television commercials, if you ever paid attention, you got a 30-second version of a commercial, and then you have a 15-second version of the commercial. And those two versions of that commercial played on television, actually, even though there's a singular message that's being given to the crowd, there's a different effect that each of those has on the followers or on the people who are watching it. So similarly with social media, what we can do is we can take a lot of the same messaging, a lot of the same content, and change it up just a little bit, and this for the sake of time, for the sake of not having to spend as much time researching or planning or writing, and you can take that content and use it over again. But just use it in a different way. Maybe highlight something a little bit differently. Maybe use a little different graphic. If you're a writer and you do blogging, which I highly recommend that you're putting some consistent, fresh content on the web. If you're blogging, make sure you're blogging those things and posting them to your website. You can use that blog in 5 or 6 different ways at least. If you do videos, if you like to post videos from time to time, post that video in multiple different ways. Repurpose that as much as you can. Make sure you have maybe a YouTube channel that you're posting it to, that you can share it now and you can share it again in 6 months. Unless you're the kind of business that's changing drastically on a very consistent basis, it's pretty safe to say that we can take things that we said at 6 months ago, and it's probably going to be relative today for the most part. So repurpose it and use it as often as you can, and it kind of comes right back to the very beginning of what I started saying, and that's it's making your reputation, your brand consistent, and it's getting the word out there as often and as vast as possible. So those are a few things that I came up with to help get some practical things, but also just to kind of help you to view social in a certain way. And should we open up the questions, or do you have some comments?
Yeah, I think that'd be great. Yeah, I think for some people that are terrified, that don't like social media or don't think that they, where do they start as a business owner? Maybe what is a good place for them to start without becoming overwhelmed? Because I think some people are afraid of being sucked into the vortex of social media and not working on their business, even though we know that that's part of the marketing layer. So maybe start with that, and then we can open it up for a few questions.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll tell you, you hit. There's a couple points that I could easily extrapolate from that question, really. And I'll start with the simple point, and that is that, you know, we as business owners, especially those who are kind of starting up or you're feeling overwhelmed as it is already. I get it. I've been there. I own multiple businesses. I understand that it can be overwhelming and just crazy. But I think, you know, it's just like any other part of what you do in your business. And that is that there are certain things that have to be part of your weekly or daily routine. If you're taking care of your own books and your own accounting for the time, that's something you have to do on a regular basis. Otherwise you get behind. If you have to, there's certain industry articles that you need to keep up with to make sure that you're staying compliant. You have to do that. That's part of it. Well, anything that you make important and you make priority for your business, you don't look at it and view it as an option. You view it as, this is something I have to do. This is part of what I do. And so you work it into your routine, just like my morning coffee routine. And then just, you know, on a quick other note, you know, I think that there's other, obviously as a small business, especially when the budget is tight, you may not be able to hire out a company to do it for you. But when you get to that point, you need to start asking yourself that question. And let's just talk about straight entrepreneurship for a quick second. When you get to a point of your business that you're spending time doing things that aren't enhancing and doing what you do, building what you do, focusing on what you do, it's time to start looking at somebody else to take it over. So whether that be your books and your accounting or your social media or your marketing or whatever it is that you're looking for to do, at some point you can't continue to grow your business unless you are focused on other things. So that's more of an encouragement to people who are looking at doing that and you're feeling overwhelmed. Hey, make sure you do what you do best. In the meantime, hey, we got to stretch a little bit and make it part of your habit. It's an opportunity you are totally missing if you're not doing it.
Right. I would agree. If anyone has a question, we do kind of end around 9, but I'll post Jason's information as well and send that to you all. I do know that if Anita is on here, let's see, she may not be on here. I don't see her. If you all called in.
I am here.
Oh, you are? Okay. So if you all called in, please email Anita, ANITA, at bniatl.com so she can give you credit for being on here. But does anyone have a question for Jason regarding social media? I'm sure somebody might. I'll unmute everyone, not all at once, but oh, there you go, Jason. Thanks for putting that on there. So it's Barlow Media Group. He's a member out at the Hamilton Mill chapter in Tequila. Meet Thursdays at noon for lunch.
If you're looking for a group to come visit, we'd love to have you at Thursdays. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Any questions for anyone or from anyone?
I have one.
Really good tips. Oh, go ahead. Who is that?
This is Guy. Guy Fleming.
Hello, Guy Fleming.
Hey, Guy.
Thank you. Love your presentation. A quick question. Is there any type a system or checklist or something a chapter can do to help promote itself? Like, you know, some with the social media in a systematic way, like the invite for the speaker, they put it on their Facebook, everybody like it and share it, things like that. Is there any way you can see that it can be systematized so it can be done on a weekly basis where everybody can participate in the chapter?
Is that question for Jason or for Kathy or Bo or either?
Maybe both. There's a few chapters, Guy, that actually promote their speaker. I'm going to pull referrals for us up. I know they've recently started doing that as well. Several actually do it, and then they share. Many chapters will create an event Is that what you're meaning to promote the speaker?
Yes, that, and including taking pictures of the visitors, putting them on, and every member, share, like, whatever.
Right.
And a system where every member each week does something to promote the chapter and people in the chapter.
Yeah, I think that for that to be I don't want to say a scheduled thing, but a routine thing, I think that goes to setting the culture and creating habits in the chapter. First comes education of, hey, we have a page and we want to utilize this. And there is a social media guide that walks the whole marketing team through that for chapter per se. And I don't know, Jason, if y'all's chapter does anything outside of that to help promote, but I know y'all have an active Facebook page with videos of members and things like that. But
yeah, I think
you want to add there?
As long as there's somebody that is obviously taking care of it and doing it. It's just there's other than using some third-party software like Hootsuite or something like that, where you can kind of tie a few things together. You can tie multiple channels of your social media together in one spot. You can schedule different posts in advance. Everything kind of can be done in one little hub if that's something that you're would be looking for. That's an idea. So it's called Hootsuite, and that's just one option. But as other than that, I don't know as far as BNI goes in general that there would be something separate from that. But that would be more or less if you had a person who's running social media, or whether that's yourself. If you wanted to put different channels, that would work.
Well, and I think for the chapter presidents, when they're calling a meeting to order, they can also say, hey, before you put your phones away, go ahead and check in or make a post on our Facebook page, go like our Facebook page. So I think there's some little hidden tasks that could be done just to have more engagement is what it sounds like, Guy, you're talking about. Because with more engagement, your visibility is going to go up for sure. Taking pictures of the visitors, we talked a little bit last week about that, as well as going to your chapter page or even our regional page and posting, hey, I'm so excited I have Bob's Plumbing coming as my visitor this week, and tag or make a comment or testimonial about your visitor. So there's just all kinds of ways to be active, I think, on there, which helps promote other people, but it also helps promote your brand as well. So that's what we call a win-win. So, right. Thank you, Jason, for sharing those tips. And if you have, maybe we can post some of those tips on the Facebook page since and then I think there were a couple of chat questions. Let me see. And anyone that is wanting to hop over for our new member webinar, just to see what that's about. Okay. That said, oh yes, yeah, I can. Someone just asked about the social media guide. Okay, yeah, your chapters have access to the social media guide, but we'll make sure that goes out to your leadership teams again. So if you all have interest in getting more going at your chapter, but certainly for your business, I think that you made some very valuable points about, get involved or get left behind kind of in the social media world, that it can really enhance your business. And I liked your way of saying, hey, your routine, it's just a matter of getting it in your routine, even if it's just a little bit instead of a lot. Because I think a lot of people in our member success program, when we talk about social media, you can see them saying, oh, I don't have time to even run my business, let alone get involved in that. And there does come a point where you have to evaluate, am I being efficient and effective doing it myself, or is it time to hire a professional like Jason? So if you all obviously need that, then, evaluate that at your own chapters. And if you need a referral, then we can refer you to him. So, all right. Thanks, everybody, for participating again. Thanks, Jason. We will talk to you all next week.
My pleasure.
And we'll continue the conversation. Thanks. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.